We've got the Rogue Echo bike here for review. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into this package. But before we open up this box, hi, my name is Ryan Treadaway, founder of TreadawayTraining.com, where we turn skinny guys into jacked men. If you're interested in working with us to achieve your body transformation goals, click the link down in the description. Do it that way. By the way, I realized after the fact, I think they intend for you to slice this side of the box off and slide it out. It says cut along the lines right here, but we didn't do that. Got the Rogue Echo bike here. It comes mostly pre-assembled. All we're gonna have to do is put on the feet, the pedals, the pegs, the handles, and the console, and we'll be good to go. We've got everything put together. Everything was very simple. It only took me maybe 20 minutes or so to put it together, and that was with taking 2 phone calls in the middle of the assembly process. So not terribly difficult at all. Now let's put this thing through its paces. I know most of you are probably here to learn about this specific air bike, but before we get into that, I think that there are 2 important questions that we should ask. One, I've said many times on the channel that you don't need to spend money on cardio. There's plenty of ways that you can do cardio with no equipment at all, so why even purchase any piece of cardio equipment? 2, why purchase an air bike versus a spin bike or a recumbent bike? Getting into the first question of why buy cardio equipment at all, my scenario was a little bit specific because I actually had a minor operation on the bottom of both of my big toes, and it was a minor thing, so don't be too concerned about me. But because of the location of the operation, it's taken forever for them to heal, especially the bottom of my right big toe. And it's been 5 months since that operation, and it's gonna be another probably 2 or 3 months before it's all the way healed. So it's been almost 5 months leading up into when I bought this piece of equipment that I've done any cardio whatsoever, because I can't have the impact on the bottom of my foot. So after 4.5 months of no cardio, I was starting to notice myself getting out of shape in terms of cardiovascular. So I knew I needed to do some type of cardio, so that is where this came into play. And that leads into question 2, which is why buy an air bike specifically, especially since we already owned a recumbent bike, which is just right there on the other side of the camera. And the reason is because time is valuable. Your time is valuable. My time is valuable. I have Treadaway Training. I have this YouTube channel. I have a 1-year-old. So if I'm going to actually do cardio, it needs to be very fast or it's going to get skipped. And since you can get such a good cardio workout in such a short amount of time, this has led to me being very consistent with my cardio. I've started adding in a few minutes of cardio at the end of each of my 4 workouts per week, and I think I've only missed 1 cardio session throughout the whole time that I've owned this bike. When using a muscle, our heart and lungs pump blood and oxygen to that muscle. So the more muscles that we're using at the same time, the higher the demand on the heart and the lungs. An air bike uses the whole body at once, which makes this form of cardio as hard as possible, as fast as possible, so you can get in a good cardio workout in just a few minutes. So now that we know why an air bike is such a good solution, let's get into why purchase the Rogue Echo bike specifically. The Echo bike uses a self-tensioning belt versus a chain drive like most air bikes do. A belt system has a few key benefits over a chain drive system. One of those being a thing called ghost riding, which is where the chain can kind of get some momentum going that a belt doesn't. And so a chain can say that maybe you burned a few more calories on the monitor than you actually burnt in reality. And 2, because of that momentum, if you were to let go, or if your foot were to slip off or something like that, hand somehow slipped off, it would keep going for several seconds before it started to slow down. Whereas with the belt system, it's harder the whole time because it doesn't get that momentum behind it. And then 2, it's slightly safer because if you slip off or if you let go for some reason, it slows down almost immediately. A belt system is also noticeably quieter and smoother than a chain drive system as well. And a chain drive system is going to require more maintenance than a belt drive system because you're going to have to oil it and things like that, whereas this requires basically no maintenance. Coop from Garage Gym Reviews said in a recent video that he's actually had his Echo bike for about 5 years and has never done any maintenance on it whatsoever. And I've heard similar stories from other people online as well, which was one of the key factors that led me to get the Rogue Echo bike specifically. The Rogue Echo bike also has an all-metal design with the exception of the little bit of plastic for the shroud to protect the mechanical components at your feet, and has many components that most other brands would make out of plastic, such as the fan blades are all metal on the Echo bike, the pedals are all metal on the Echo bike. There's no rubber grips or anything like that on the pedals. They have little metal nubs that they use for grip as well, which is going to lead to this bike being very durable, very stable. It's going to last you for a lifetime, which is something that's important to consider when purchasing an expensive piece of equipment. And this is especially important if you are a commercial gym owner and maybe you have several of these bikes and there's hundreds of people cycling through your gym every single day, and all kinds of people hopping on here and not treating your equipment as good as you would treat your own equipment. And so you don't have to worry about these things breaking from having so much heavy use. The Rogue Echo bike is heavy and beefy at 127 pounds and has a footprint of 44.5 inches long by 23.75 inches wide. So it's very stable. It doesn't wobble at all when in use, even if you're giving it everything you've got. And if you are using this in a home gym and your floor is a little bit unlevel, each of the feet adjust independently so that you can level the bike out for your floor. And when it comes to the monitor, it's a pretty typical monitor. There's nothing super exciting here, but it does have a lot of options. You can do intervals of different lengths that are pre-programmed in. You can put in your own custom intervals. You can put in a target time, a target distance, a target calorie burned, a target heart rate. If you have a compatible heart rate monitor, which I do not, if I'm going to track my heart rate, which I usually don't, I'll just use my Galaxy watch instead. And to be honest, I really don't use the monitor all that much because I just hop on and do my own custom intervals real quick, which I already have in my head. So really the only thing that I'm looking at when I'm looking at this monitor is the clock. And then I'll also sometimes look at the power output and the speed just to see on those intervals where I'm going all out how much power I'm actually putting out, so that I can see if I'm getting stronger at the bike over time. There's a few optional accessories that I got most of. I got the phone holder, which was 10 bucks and leaves a little bit to be desired, to be honest. It's just a cheap, flimsy plastic. If you're using this in a commercial gym, that is going to get broke for sure. So the phone holder, maybe not. I haven't even actually used the phone holder, even though I bought it. There's a bottle holder for $9, which is metal and will do the job and probably won't break. And it's a water bottle holder. There's not really much else to say about it. And then the one accessory that I was the most excited about is the wind guard, which was $40. And the reason why I wanted the wind guard specifically is because if I'm ever hopping on here to do some cardio by itself, if I haven't just finished a workout and I'm just hopping on here cold to do some cardio, I don't want all that wind blowing up in my face. And then when it's winter and it's cold, I definitely don't want all of that wind blowing up in my face. So this is, I feel, a must-have accessory to go on here. There's also a $90 turf tire upgrade, which we don't really need because this bike is always going to be on a rubber floor and isn't going to be moved around very often. One drawback about the Echo bike is the lack of multiple grip options. I would like to see, in addition to the pronated grip option, a neutral grip option or maybe a 45-degree grip option, but I can't really hold this against the Echo bike too much because, to be honest, almost all air bikes only have the one grip option. The Rogue Echo bike comes in at $845 and is one of the few items on the website that does have free shipping. Now, for the most important question that we always answer in each of these reviews, would I recommend you spend your hard-earned money on this piece of equipment? And for one of the very few times on the channel, I'm pretty much gonna give this a blanket yes. As long as you have the money to spend on a nice air bike, this is the one I would recommend you to go with, regardless of if we're talking about a home gym or if we're talking about a commercial gym. This is going to fit both of those needs perfectly. It's big, it's beefy, it's quality, it's stable, it's durable. There's really nothing to be desired other than maybe the lack of handles, which is just par for the course when it comes to air bikes. There's nothing left to be desired about this bike. Future Ryan here. I wanted to pop in and give a quick update because I've been sitting on this video for over a year and a half at this point. Perceptive viewers might have noticed me mentioning my 1-year-old son earlier in the video. He's no longer 1 year old. I recorded this video during my YouTube hiatus to have ready to go when I started back on YouTube, and I didn't realize at the time how long that hiatus was going to be. So now that I've been using this for another year and a half, I wanted to give some final thoughts. I have not used this quite as much as I was using it at the time that I recorded the video, because once my toes healed up and I was able to do other forms of cardio, I wanted to do other forms of cardio so that I wouldn't be limited to just this. And when it was warm outside, I started running to my parents' house and then running back home for my cardio. And since that original video, I do now also have a Concept 2 rower as well. I purchased someone's entire home gym and that was part of the package. So I have that piece of cardio equipment to use as well, which, by the way, next video is going to be an update on all of the different things that have changed in the garage gym since I've been off YouTube. There's been a lot, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. And then I'm also going to do a separate review on the Concept 2 rower itself. But now that I haven't used it as much for the last year and a half, would I still recommend this bike for the price point? And the answer is still a resounding yes. Just because I have not used it as much, because I've had the ability to have more variety available to me, does not change any of the things that I mentioned earlier in this video. I still do absolutely love this bike, and I would absolutely buy this bike again if I didn't already have it. Link to purchase is the first link in the description. If you're interested in working with us to achieve your body transformation goals, second link down in the description. As always, God bless you and your family, and we'll see you next week. And thanks to this all metal design, this thing is big and it's beefy at 127 pounds and has a footprint of 44.5 inches long by